Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to today's webinar, Effective Job Search Strategies for Holistic Health Professionals. Please feel free to use the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. We're going to give it a few minutes here for people to filter in. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Hi, Naomi. I'm curious what it's like for everybody right now. Here in Portland, it's been super rainy all week, and today we have a really warm, sunny day. It really feels like spring, which is awesome. I think the changes are happening and we are coming out of winter. Hi, Teresa and Trinity. Good to see you all. Got folks from all over the place. Florida, Vermont, North Carolina, a lot of East Coast folks. Hi, Rachel. It's hot in Jacksonville Beach. Feels like summer. It does feel like summer here in Portland too. Hi, Brenda. All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. And again, welcome to Effective Job Search Strategies for Holistic Health Professionals. I'm your host here, Felicia Royce. I'm the Director of Alumni and Career Services. And a brief introduction about me. I've been with ACHS in some capacity since 2016, and I've worked in higher education for over 15 years in multiple roles, definitely been on the hiring side, looked at a lot of resumes. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, and I do own my own massage therapy business as well. I'm being joined today by two of our technology gurus, Gina Schnaps and Catherine Swery. They're in the background, so if there's any technology needs or something goes haywire, they're there to support us if needed. So make sure if anything comes up that you put that in the chat. And it's hot in Maui. I wish I was on Maui. It's so cool to see where everyone is from. Okay, well, without further ado, just to go over some agenda items today, you'll notice that mute is on, and you're not able to, come off of mute and talk. And the reason for that is just because we do record this and we do send it out to folks that are live, and then also folks who weren't able to attend in person today. So that being said, I want this to be a really interactive, really fun experience. And so I'm going to be monitoring the chat. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your questions. I want to make this fun for you. This should be about a half an hour to an hour long, depending on, how many questions come up today. So just, kind of plan for that. We are going to go over job search strategies. We're going to go over a couple of different things. I'm going to show you around with a little LinkedIn tutorial. And again, this webinar will be recorded and emailed to you. And the reason I mention that is because there are a few slides that have a lot of information on them and a lot of like hyperlinks. I don't want you to feel like you have to remember all of this. You can always go back and digest the information later. But again, don't be shy, use that chat box, and hopefully you have like a pen and paper and maybe some hot tea or cold tea from people in Florida right now. But yeah, notes would be great because we're going to kind of cover a lot today. So I'm curious with the folks that are here in attendance today, how many of you are actively looking for a job right now? I just want to kind of get a sense of who our audience is, because I think we have current students who are thinking about their future. And then we also have alumni or even students who are wanting to get into the field sooner rather than later. So if you are currently looking for a job right now, I'd love to hear from you if you're comfortable sharing that, whether it's in the holistic healthcare field or not. So it looks like a lot of you guys are currently looking, maybe in the near future as well. Great. So, and by the way, I'm going to do my best to try to be present with you and read the chat. And Gina might actually be chiming in at some points just to kind of, if I miss something, I really apologize. I'm going to do my best. But it sounds like we're all kind of in the same space where we're looking maybe for work right now or in the near future, and that's why you're here today. So I think before we kind of dive into effective ways of doing this, it's really important to take some personal inventory. So taking a step back, and you don't need to do all of this right now today, but really taking a step back and thinking about, you know, what is it that I'm really wanting out of a job? I mean, we spend the majority of our lives at work, right? Like that's a huge part of who we are and how we identify ourselves. And so I think, you know, you're going to hear me say this a lot. I'm all about quality over quantity when it comes to job searching. And I think it's really important for us to think about not just how many applications can we get in, but what do we really want? And so I would recommend asking yourself, you know, what are you looking for in a company? Is it flexibility? Is it company culture? Is it sustainability? Is it, you know, anything that kind of matches up to your values? What is your value system? What do you really need from a company? It is a partnership. You're bringing your skills, you're bringing your talents, and you're also working for an organization that will be supporting you as well. So really taking inventory of what it is you're looking for, I think is really important. And taking that extra beat before you apply for a job to look at the company's profile, look at their website, look at their LinkedIn page. What are they all about? What is their mission? And make sure it's in alignment with yours. If you come across a jobs, you know, a job posting and it just doesn't feel right, don't apply. It's not about how many applications that we can get in. And then also, you know, I work with hundreds of students and I often hear the same sentence, and it's, I don't think I have the skills for these positions that are out there. And I think that comes from, you know, using job boards and just reading, you know, that they want 2 years of experience. But what I would encourage you to do is think about your transferable skills. What skills have you obtained as a student, right? Like being an online student is not easy. You have to have digital literacy. You have to have organizational skills. And then what have you done in the past? If you had a customer service job, I'm sure it was beyond just customer service, right? So what are your quantitative and your qualitative skills that you're going to be bringing to any job? Don't be afraid if a job listing is asking for a certain amount of years of experience, don't be afraid to be creative with that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few. And then if you are in the middle of a job search, how's it going? I'm curious to hear from you guys. If you're using job boards, how is that process going for you? Are you hearing back? Are you not hearing anything at all? Like, how's it going? And what do I mean by transferable? I mean, skills that can be applied to almost any job. So I'm reading Cloud's chat question here. Transferable skills are skills that are qualitative and qualitative, quantitative and qualitative. So they could be soft skills like communication, teamwork, organizational skills, professionalism, and then qualitative skills that are more like data-driven skills. That's what I mean by transferable. Okay, so Morgan said Indeed has been working very well for her. And Morgan, I'm very interested to hear more about that. And then LinkedIn for job searches, applications being reviewed sometimes. So it sounds like, yeah, the multi-level marketing, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. Not all jobs that are listed on those job boards are real or actually lead to real opportunity. Thank you for reporting that. I think that's the only thing we really can do. So it sounds like, you know, we're having some success with job boards. But maybe not hearing back with everything we applied for is what I'm seeing here. So I I think it's important to kind of take stock of how things are going and be able to pivot, our effectiveness. If it's not going well, like what else can we be doing outside of job boards? I think we get a little stuck on job boards and use that as our kind of main tool. And I want to talk about a few other options that we can kind of think about, including leveraging our network. And I'm going to talk a lot more about what that means. Okay, let's see. So a couple of months ago, I had the honor of hosting our annual employer summit. And we had over a dozen employers in multiple holistic health roles that came together and had a collaborative environment to talk about, industry trends, what they're looking for in employees and candidates, what skills are important to them. And of course, there were a lot of hard skills that you are going to learn in school and that you're going to have when you earn your degree, certain credentials they're looking for, of course. But one thread that really just kept coming up for me that I thought was so important to note was that most of these employers in the holistic health field really wanted pretty basic soft skills. Can you communicate effectively? Are you coachable? Are you organized? Are you professional? Can you work with a team? Can you take feedback? Those things came up a lot more than the hard skills. Another thing that came up a lot was technology skills. So making sure that you do have digital literacy, that you can use things like Google Suite. So if you feel like those skills are lacking a little bit, I do recommend taking workshops and kind of brushing up on those technology skills. But I just thought it was important to know, again, going back to transferable skills, that most employers across the board are looking for somebody who's coachable, that can communicate well, that has stellar customer service skills. And, the thing is, there's a lot of things that can be trained or learned on the job. So something to think about when you're looking at these different roles that are out there and thinking, could I be right for this? I think more times than not, we might be more right for a position than we think we are. So I'm going to just look at the chat here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. And Gina, if you don't mind, just like keeping an eye on that too. Technological workshops, where do I find these? Honestly, there's a ton, like if you just go to LinkedIn, there's a ton of technology workshops there. Google, like literally, I've had to teach myself a few things because I had to brush up on some of my own skills, and just going through the tutorials on Google can be really, really helpful. Like if you want to learn how to use an Excel spreadsheet, and honestly, YouTube can be a really great tool. I mean, these are not things you'd put on your resume, right? But if you're wanting a basic understanding of how to make an Excel spreadsheet, you could literally go to YouTube and find out how to do that and not spend a lot of money. Udemy, I honestly don't know. I'd have to look into that, to be honest. I've heard of Udemy, but I don't know a lot about that organization. I'll get back to you on that. Okay, moving along. Let me get back to that question, Cloud, as well, or I can reach out to you personally to answer that question. So setting yourself up for success. So I don't know how many of you were able to attend the resume workshop a few months back that I hosted, but the really, really, really important thing, if you are applying for jobs, anywhere, is that you're not using just a general resume. You want to make sure that every job you apply for is tailored and customized to that position. And if you ever, want to revisit that resume tutorial, or if you need one-on-one help from me, I'm happy to schedule a time to talk with you one-on-one about your particular resume. I think keeping a base resume or two for your industries is a really good idea, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel each time, but you really have to have those keywords. I know I've mentioned it before, but application tracking systems are real. And we want your resume to end up on a hiring manager's desk. So having those keywords, making sure that it's very evident that you've done your research on the company in your cover letter, those things are really important. And then, creating a website or a portfolio, depending on what type of position you're going for. If you're going for a marketing position in the field or social media position or a research position, you're going to want to showcase your work and have a place to show that, a link or something that you can showcase your work. And you do not have to wait till you've graduated to do that. So you can put together a little folder, and anything that, research or your capstone or anything you're really proud of, put it in that folder. And then when you have time, you can craft that in a way that is really organized. But you want to make sure that you're showcasing the work that you have done. And I think this is especially true when you're a career changer. How many of you are, I just meant like a folder on your computer, Carissa. Like if you just put like a folder on your computer that's easy to access, you can drag things there. That's what I was meaning by that. How many of you are currently using LinkedIn or have a LinkedIn profile? Great. Love LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I think it's the one tool we have that we can access networking on a really high level. I use my LinkedIn quite often, and I think it's really a beneficial tool. It's not the only tool, but it's a really beneficial tool. And so if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I highly recommend that you create one as soon as possible. And if you need any help doing that, I'm happy to help you with that as well. Carissa, we can totally set up a time to talk, and Tamara as well. But LinkedIn is a great tool. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to use the job function in there effectively here in just a minute. The other thing that's kind of, I think really important, and that, I know for me has been really helpful in the past, it's really tracking your progress. So keeping an Excel spreadsheet, staying organized. When you start turning in lots of applications, it's hard to remember when you turned in an application, when somebody got back to you. So keeping track of that is important. I also think every time you apply for a job, you most definitely want to follow up with that employer. So within a week or two of applying, you're going to definitely want to email them or reach out to them on LinkedIn. And it's hard to remember when to do that. So the tracking is definitely helpful. And then I think this is a really important one, but creating space. Looking for work can feel like a full-time job, and it can actually feel kind of daunting. There's a lot out there, there's a lot to sift through, and creating actual space for that, mental and physical space for that, is really important. Whether that's putting it on your Outlook calendar or maybe an environment that's really conducive to just, focusing on this and not having distractions can be really helpful, and really taking breaks when you need to. It can be kind of mentally taxing to just be turning in applications constantly. So making sure that you're having balance with that. And then we have so much cool technology at our fingertips. Most of you have Grammarly as students. I would say when we're doing resume and cover letter work, we don't want even one typo on there. So using Grammarly is a great way to kind of double check. I also say have somebody else look at your materials, whether it's me or a family member or a friend, because sometimes we get, we can't see our mistakes because we've looked at the same document 8 times. So have somebody else take a look at it. ChatGPT is a great tool. Using any type of AI is a great tool. It's not the only tool, and I don't recommend just only using ChatGPT and not putting your own personal spin on it, but it can be very, very helpful in saving time. And then Mail Suite, I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It used to be called Mail Tracker, I believe. But it's through Google, and it's a way, you do have to pay for it, but it's a way for you to actually see who opens your emails. So it's a way to kind of track, are people seeing your materials? Are people seeing your follow-up emails? It may not be something that all of you want to use, but it is out there as a tool. Okay, I'm going to check the chat. Coursera is great. I agree. And ChatGPT feels like cheating. It can, but we do have these tools, and I think they can be really effective if we use them in the right way. But yes, Coursera, I agree, is a very great tool for professional development. Okay. I'm going to pause here. Any questions so far about what we've talked about before I move on to the next slide? All right. Okay. So the cold, hard truth is that, and maybe you already know this, but the truth is job boards, they're great. They're great tools. They can be effective. They can lead to opportunities. But in my opinion, they're the least effective way to look for a job. We never know what employers are looking for on these job boards. We don't know if they already have an internal candidate selected. We don't know how long that job board has been up in some cases. It can also chip away at our confidence when we're on job boards all day and we've spent, 10 hours turning in applications to hear back from one employer. It can just feel daunting to just be on job boards all the time. And I'm not saying don't use job boards, but I think there are some other ways to really be effective in finding work in this field that don't include Indeed and LinkedIn and those tools. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I definitely think, like I had talked about a little bit at the beginning of the presentation, leveraging your network. So taking inventory right now as of today, who is in my professional network, whether that's other peers or that's previous colleagues, friends that work in positions that you want to see yourself working in, like who do you have currently today that you can lean on for professional guidance? Because the fact is, there are a lot of times jobs that can be obtained that are never on a job board. It's called the hidden job market. And according to a lot of the data out there, it's a huge majority of what makes up the jobs that are out there are jobs that never actually make it to a job board. So I think it's important to think about relationship building and leveraging the folks that we know that are in the professional field, making those connections as soon as possible, going where like-minded people are, networking through your chamber of commerce, whatever that might look like. I think it's really important to take stock of your network and build your network. The other thing that's very, very popular right now is informational interviews. Have any of you here done an informational interview? I'm very curious if that's, Rachel says yes. No. Okay. So some of you might have, it sounds like a lot of you haven't yet. So an informational interview is an opportunity for you to go into an organization and shadow and learn about the roles within that organization. So whether it's sitting down one-on-one with another holistic health practitioner or, sitting down with a team, but making those connections, thinking about where do I want to work? Who do I see out there working the field that I really admire? How did they get there? Sometimes we just have to ask. Sometimes we really have to find out how somebody else's path got them to where they are today. And the only way to do that is to talk to them. So you can reach out to people on LinkedIn. You can reach out to the contacts that you have, whether it's, a faculty member you've worked with that lives in your area or a peer that's doing something really awesome that, you just want to take them out for coffee and ask them about their job and how they got into it. I also think taking stock of, what is in your area? Is there a clinic you pass by that's an integrative health clinic that you're super interested in? You're like, what's going on in there? What are people doing in there? Stopping in one day and introducing yourself. I know it can feel really awkward, but it can also lead to opportunity. So we can talk about some strategies to do that. LinkedIn is also just a great tool to be able to ask for informational interviews and connect with people.
Actually, wanted
Yeah,
to just point out, Carissa was wondering how do you go about setting up one of those interviews? Do you just call them, invite yourself? What do you recommend?
Yeah, it depends. Do you know somebody there or do you not know somebody there? If you know somebody there, I would say reach out to that person and say, hey, I am so interested in what you do. And I would really love an opportunity to ask you questions. I really want to get into this field. Would you mind if I came in and job shadowed you for a half an hour and then maybe asked you some questions? The thing is, I hope I say this the right way, but people love to talk about themselves. People love to share what they're doing. They're proud of what they've done in the field. And more often than not, I see holistic health practitioners really wanting to help other practitioners make it in the field. I see it every day. And so don't be shy to ask. The worst you can hear is no or not get a response at all. If it's somebody you don't know, using things like LinkedIn or calling the office or stopping by. I've had students who stop by with like some coffee or some muffins and they're like, hi, I'm in the area. I am going to school for herbal medicine and I see that you have an herbal medicine clinic here. I'm really interested in learning more about what you do here. Are you open to doing an informational interview, even just for an hour? And 9 times out of 10, I think most employers would love to have somebody shadow them. And it could lead to multiple opportunities. And once they get to know you and get to see you as a human and not just a resume, I think it makes a huge difference. So any questions about that beyond what we've talked about? I'm looking at the chat here.
I do see Cloud is wondering, can you get these interviews to just to get ideas about what kind of jobs to look for?
Uh, yeah, I would say if you're going to be asking for an informational interview, you should probably have an idea of what that person does and how your skills would, match up to what they're doing, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't just do an informational interview just to find out like where you want to go in the field. You could do some additional research on the side for that. Um, I would, for informational interviewing, I would have it be a little more intentional. Like, okay, here is an herbal medicine practitioner. I'm about to graduate with my herbal medicine degree. I want to know how they're in that role. Like, so it's tied to what you're wanting to potentially do. Does that make sense? Awesome. And I just also want to throw out there again as well. I am available anytime to talk with you one-on-one about this stuff. I know that, as we sit here and talk about informational interviews, it's a lot easier said than done, right? Like versus actually going out and doing it. And there's some strategies and skills and documents and things that we can talk about, like different ways that you can craft these conversations that feel right for you in your circumstance. So this is just kind of an overview, but I'm available to you one-on-one as well. So that being said, sometimes we do have to use job boards and they can be very great. And again, this is going to go out via email, so don't feel like you have to look at all these job boards today, but here's some of the ones that I recommend. LinkedIn is the job board I probably use more often, just because I feel like there's more valid jobs on there and you can actually see a lot more information. But also the job boards, if you're a holistic nutrition professional, the job boards that are on the NAMP are great. American Herbalist Guild will sometimes have jobs that come out, American Botanical Council. There's a lot of other places that you can look. And sometimes it is more of a reverse engineering situation where you know the company you want to work at. And in that case, you keep that company on that list of networking and you continuously check their careers page. Because sometimes, especially with smaller companies, those jobs do not end up actually on a job board. So if there's a company you're really interested in, I definitely recommend reverse engineering the process and actually going to the company's website and using their careers tab. How do I make sure it's going to make my email? Oh, Jessica, if you are here, you'll get it. So it shouldn't be a problem. Thanks, Sheena. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt, technology is not my strong suit, but I'm gonna attempt to kind of show you around a little bit with LinkedIn and give you a little bit of a tutorial here. So this is my LinkedIn, and if I go to the jobs tab, so I would pick out your top 2 or 3 job boards that you use, whether it's Indeed or ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn. And for each of those job boards, I would update your preferences. I would make sure that your job alerts are turned on. So that way it's taking a lot of the legwork out for you. You're getting alerts for jobs where your skills match up to these positions. So turn that job alerts on. Mine is literally turned on. And then the other preferences that I would recommend are resume, like uploading your resume and having that, and that's where the general resume might actually make sense, just because you can't really tailor that, obviously have it be specific to your industry, but this way recruiters can find you as well. And it helps with the algorithm. So if your resume is on there and you've updated your LinkedIn profile, it will start to match up jobs. So, that way you're not having to sift through a lot. They'll just do some of the work for you. Does that all make sense? Oh, the premium account, Sarah. I think it's useful for some people. I personally have never done it. I had like a trial of it, and yeah, I mean, I think it has its functions, but I think you can get by just fine without the premium account. And Amber says, do you think with a lot of companies now using algorithms to review resumes, is it still helpful to send your resume to companies and market yourself? That's a really good question, Amber. I think it depends. I think it depends on the company and how small they are. If it's a small company with very few employees, I'd say yes, that still makes sense. If it's a big company like Legacy Health or something like that, it's probably never going to go anywhere. Just because, they have that resume application kind of standard practice there for a reason, and they use application tracking systems. So I'd say use your judgment with that. If it's a company that's smaller and you've really wanted to work there for a long time, it wouldn't hurt, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time doing that. Of course. Okay, so we looked over the preferences, and then you also have the My Jobs tab, and that will kind of house everything in one place. But actually using this job function, I'm just going to type in here health coach. You'll see here that 434 results came up. This is why I like LinkedIn so much, because it shows so much information that other job boards don't. So I'm just going to see, I see here that my profile matches the senior health coach position. So I'm going to click on this. And then I'm going to click on the position here. And this position you can see has 27 applicants, which is actually pretty low. I've seen upwards of 400 applicants for one position. What I can say is you want to get your application. One of the reasons the job alerts is so important is because as soon as a job is posted and that job is a good fit for you, get that application in as soon as you can. If you're on the earlier side of that, it's way more likely that it's going to be seen by a hiring manager rather than when 200 other people have applied. So this also shows you how big the company is. I feel like when the company is bigger, it's harder to do the follow-up because you just don't know who to go to. Although LinkedIn is a great way to try to find recruiters and try to find hiring managers. And I'm going to show you kind of what I mean by that here in a minute. Here's a really important section, the skills section. All of these skills that are listed, I want to make sure are on my documents, right? So I want to make sure that if I have these skills, I'm not going to make up skills I don't have, but if I have the skills that are listed here, I want to make sure they're infused and those keywords are on my cover letter and my resume. Very important. And then one thing that I don't have any contacts in my network that work here, but it will show here if you have a connection. that works for this company. And that's a great place to start, with sending a message and saying, hey, making up a name. Hey, Julie, this is Felicia. We met back when we were in school together. I see that this position's open and you work there. I'd love to pick your brain about this job. And, you know, where jobs come from so often these days are referrals. And a lot of companies actually have referral incentives. So the next time you feel bad about asking for a referral, just remember, for a lot of companies, that person might actually get a bonus if you get hired. So there's a lot of really good reasons to ask for referrals. With the easy apply that you see here on the left-hand side, that's a great tool to apply with the resume that you have on file. But if you wanted to actually like update your resume and bring in those keywords, you can do that as well. Here's what's really cool. Meet the hiring team. This is not available on each job posting, but it is on this one. And what I would do is I'd apply for this position and then I'd immediately send a message. I'd apply first and then I'd immediately send a message to Mr. Weiss. And I would maybe only make it 3 sentences long, maybe 4. And I would introduce myself, let Michael know that I just applied for the senior health coach position. I would give one reason why I want to work for the company, why I'm really interested. And then I would ask or like have a call to action. Like, I would really love to interview with you. And just, you know, they may or may not respond. You can see if they looked at it. But I think that when that person potentially sees your resume, they're going to put 2 and 2 together, and it's going to give you an advantage to other applicants. So I highly recommend doing that. I'm going to pause. I've been talking a lot. Any questions thus far about this? Okay, cool. So going back to where we were, it might be a little overwhelming, and I didn't put in a city or state here. So I also want to just show you on here how to filter, because 434 results is just too hard to actually sift through. So you can also put in remote work or your city and state, but then there's this little filters button. And you can filter by experience level, company, job type, how long it's actually been available, whether it's remote or on site, the location, the industry. So you can really kind of dwindle things down to a bite-sized pieces using this filter option. So I just wanted to make sure that I showed you this as well. Okay. So the other way, because I'm always looking for positions in my job, that's literally a huge percentage of what I do, is trying to find pathways for students and helping them try to see what's available in their area. So this is a very non-scientific way of doing things, but sometimes I just go to Google and I just say health coach, jobs, remote. Look, it's even saved in here because I type it so often. And then I go to this little jobs tab. Now, somebody had brought up fraudulent kind of, you know, positions. You have to really use your judgment, right? There's a lot of positions that are posted on these job boards that aren't necessarily positions that you would want or that are real. So if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And if it's got like broken sentences, or if it just doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. So just use your judgment on that. But let's just see what's available. And I put in remote because it can be applied to almost anywhere.
Felicia, we had a good question that kind of applies to this too.
Yeah.
If people, and you might be able to put this into your presentation, but if anyone's willing to relocate for work, how do you put that in filters as well?
Well, you would just put in the filter either remote, or you'd put in there anywhere that you want to relocate. So there's a box in there, like it says location. You can put whatever location you want. I will say with relocating, you know, it's important to talk about that a little bit in your cover letter, because some jobs do require that you're in the city that you're applying to, or that you will be there by the time you get the job. So that's kind of a different conversation, but in the filter, you'll see where you can put in any location you want. Sarah, twice now I've seen terms and conditions link go nowhere. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit? While you're typing in there, I'm gonna click, oh, scammy jobs. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And those scammy jobs are getting good. I've seen some really legitimate looking ones that actually use real people's names. It's kind of scary. So use your judgment. Usually you'll see some signs that it's not a real position. And I've seen some that are really close to looking real, but sometimes you have to cross-reference. If you can't find a website or find this company on LinkedIn, they probably don't exist. That's another thing to keep in mind. Okay, but let's go ahead and click on the Pompa program. If I read over this, I'm like, oh, this looks like a great position. I think I'm going to apply for this. I would also go to, let me move my little bar here. I would go to LinkedIn and I would look up, I'd apply for the position, of course, but then I'd go to LinkedIn and I would look up, I'm just going to go home here. Pompa program. Oh, here it is. And you can see here that it's a legitimate healthcare system. And you can see so much about this company. You can find out just, what they're all about, what their website is. You can find, cross-reference their jobs on here. And the most important link to me is the people link. This is also talking about networking. So you've just applied for this position and now, how do I get this advantage? And you can see here the people that work in the human resources arena. And even if you email them and they're not in that state that you're in, they may be able to tell you who is that you can contact. But you can see here that I have mutual contacts in this company. And I would want to reach out to those contacts and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just applied for this position. I'm really excited about it. Can you share any information? And start to have a conversation with the folks that are already working there. So this is a great way to kind of not just apply for a job on a job board, but to make it a little more intentional. Does this all make sense so far? Wonderful. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my presentation here. I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit of how I use that LinkedIn job function. Okay, so this is going to also, obviously be emailed out to you, but I get asked on a regular basis, I don't even know where to start on a job board. Like, what do I type in? How do I even start if I just put in holistic health, I don't ever come up with much. So I've spent the last year really crafting what are some keywords that you want to put into these job boards to really get the most out of your search. So you see here for aromatherapy, these are some different job functions or keywords that you can put into the job boards. I have this for herbal medicine as well, and things that maybe you haven't thought about, right? Like botanical sales. One thing that's not on here is supplements, right? Like there's a whole world out there of supplement jobs. And a whole retail world out there that, tea companies and things of that nature. Holistic and integrative health and nutrition. Many people don't know there's a lot more to do in that field than just one-on-one coaching, right? Like there's community health navigators, there's patient coordination, there's consultation within a company, clinic coordinators, like different entry-level positions that might get your foot in the door as a student, as you're, building your career path. So I just wanted to share some of these. And again, you'll get this and you can use this later. There's also a blog that was put out with this information as well that I'll give you a link to. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of share with you some of these keywords because I think it's important to have a reference there. I'm going to open my chat back up. Cannabis related jobs. Yes, that is part of herbal medicine, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I just talked to a student yesterday. It was such a cool conversation. She had gone for, I think she has her diploma in holistic or diploma in herbal studies. And she works for a dispensary and just literally proposed to them, how about I give consultations here as part of the dispensary, and was able to kind of elevate what they have to offer. And so now folks can come in and, get their cannabis needs met, but also get this like really great consultation that goes layers deeper than just what they're buying retail. That's amazing, Sarah. It's happening. People are doing it. So anyway, I thought I'd share that. Okay, moving on. And this is just more stuff that you can think about doing in the field that maybe you haven't thought of. There's a lot of like influencer, social media, a lot of writing positions that are out there. So again, using these keywords might be really helpful in your search. So you're like, this is all fine and dandy, Felicia, but what if I don't have a network? What if I'm looking around and I'm maybe in a place that there's just not a lot of holistic health around me? Like, what do I do? I mean, there's LinkedIn, right? But also I'm always saying this, it's being where the like-minded people are and having it be as organic as possible, like building that organic network. Attending health and wellness fairs, workshops that come in, attending, like we just had the NAPL HealCon. And I know that that's, obviously in San Francisco or San Diego, I think it was, and not everyone can attend that. But if you have an opportunity to apply for scholarships or attend these big events, you're going to meet a lot of people in the industry, which could lead to a lot of opportunity. Connecting with other students and faculty. We're an online environment, but we're all in this together and we have all these great ideas to share. If you connect with somebody in one of your classes, make sure you get their contact info. Your faculty, they're experts in their field. They've been working in their field for a really long time. They're definitely somebody you should be networking with, following on LinkedIn and asking questions and all of that. I am going to be hosting at some point in the near future. I'm still developing this, but a virtual networking event where students can come together and do some professional networking. So just, keep your eye out for that as well. And then looking at your, what do you have available to you in your community? So Chamber of Commerce, Toastmasters, BNI, joining any professional organizations. And career coaching, obviously you have one free of charge here as part of your tuition as a student here at ACHS, which is myself, but organizations like SCORE, which is through the Small Business Administration, they have free business coaching. Like you can apply to have a business coach. There are, career coaches that you can find through your Chamber of Commerce. Not that you want to spend a bunch of money, but sometimes we just have to think outside of the box. So really kind of aligning ourselves with like-minded people and getting out in our communities and planting the seed and printing out business cards even before you have your business, right? Or before you're a professional, just something you can hand out. These days, it's so cool. I said earlier, I'm not like the techiest person, but now you can have like a QR code and somebody just like you put your phones together and they talk to each other and all of a sudden they're in your contacts. It's pretty freaking cool. So many ways to professionally network, easier than ever. The dot card, I've heard of that. I love it. Awesome. So these are just some ideas of how to kind of build your network. Okay, so what time is it? I've talked so much. Thank you so much for just hanging in there with me. I'd love to open it up to any questions that might have come up that I haven't been able to get to or that you'd like to ask before we wrap up here today. Anybody have any questions? You have to go. Okay, bye. Have a great one. Cool. What about contract work or getting gigs? Well, there is definitely a gig section on Indeed. I know that to be true. Gig work is actually really popular right now. And so most job boards have a gig section. Contract work, a lot of holistic health, positions are contract. So you'll see a lot of 1099 out there. Upwork is a great tool to use, for contract, these are jobs that are temporary. So those are some things that I would recommend for the gig work. Would it be helpful to make business cards with our contact info? Yes. Tamara, absolutely. Little handouts. People love free stuff. If you're an aromatherapist, make a tiny little blend. Have it, available to share with somebody. Gig work, Brenda, is work that's more, how do I put this? It's not just temporary work, but Uber's gig work. Setting up for a band is gig work. Taking on a research, just like a research job or a content piece, and in an article, if you write an article, that's gig work. Something that's not necessarily hourly or salary, but is more pay for, for the job that you're doing. And it's not necessarily always like the 9 to 5, right? It's something that's a little more alternative.
Would you consider contractors like non W4 or W2 workers that as well, or is that a whole other
Not
level?
necessarily, because you can be a 1099 worker and still work a schedule. I was one of those ones.
True.
Still like be established in an organization. Gig work, I do put in a different category than that. Teresa asked, how do we share portfolios with employers? So I would recommend, and I won't put Gina on the spot, but Gina has a great portfolio. But, I would say having a link. So you can have like a website or a link where you house all of your documents and have that be on your resume and or cover letter would be the best way to share that portfolio. Or if they ask for it, like if you get through the first interview and they want more information, that'd be a good opportunity to share that. But usually a link would be the best way, not like a physical folder that you like bring in and show. Everything's kind of digital these days.
Yeah, there are many free websites that you can house all that on and easily place it on your LinkedIn.
Gina, do you mind typing in what some of those free hosting, because I don't really know a lot about that. I would love to hear from you, like if you know of any in particular.
Yeah, Wix is one, and off the top of my head, I can't think of others as I use Wix, but I can also, if anyone is specifically interested, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chat if you have any questions about portfolios.
I used something called Cravado. It wasn't free, but it was fairly cheap monthly or yearly fee. So that's one of them.
Awesome. Do you mind putting that in the chat? That'd be great. Thank you so much. I'm trying to coordinate work with requirements for board certification. I think that's great that you're doing that. I'm not quite sure of your question. If you want to elaborate a little bit on that, on the board certification, I'd be happy to kind of dive into that a little bit deeper too. All right, what have I not? Work from home mom jobs, I think is what that says. Mom jobs, yes. So I would use honestly, the same credible job boards. There's a lot of job boards out there that are not credible and that can end up with I feel like a lot of those like work from home, one credible one is Flex Jobs. That's one that I know of that is credible, but a lot of those like too good to be true, like these are all just work from home. I feel like that's where a lot of that MLM stuff gets mixed in. And if it were me, I would just stick to using the job boards like LinkedIn for flexible positions, or remote positions. But I'd probably stay away from looking for specific like work from home jobs because I feel like sometimes it gets you down a rabbit hole you don't want to be down, if that makes sense. Cool. How do we add our badges from school onto LinkedIn? There is a way to do that, Tamara. I can help you with that. Gina, do you remember, like, I think there's a way when you get your badge, it says share to LinkedIn. Do you remember how that works?
I don't, because we did switch badging services recently, and we actually do have a webinar coming up on how to use those with Nathan. I can share that in the follow-up email, a link to sign up for that. So I know a lot of people have had questions in the past of how to share it on their resume or LinkedIn, and kind of, you know, what the purpose is and all of that. So that'd be a great place for anyone interested who has earned one in the past to learn how to better utilize those. So I'll put that in there, because I personally don't know with the new system how that works.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure you get the answer to that question though. And I can work with you one-on-one on that as well. Cloud, I do want to address your question. Are there any job boards for people with disabilities? I don't know of one in particular for people with disabilities, but I do know that that is protected under law, you know, so like people cannot be discriminated against for their disabilities. So really any job board should be able to accommodate that. I don't know of any specific job boards that are just for disabilities. But I do know that you know, there are laws in place to avoid discrimination in that area. Okay. I think we're kind of up to speed here. Okay, I am going to move on to, I just have a couple other things. Here's some resources. There's the blog I was telling you about that has the keywords in it. The 2-Hour Job Search is a really great book that I used when I was early in my career. That was really helpful. There's a link to my online calendar. Feel free to use that and schedule some time with me. I'd love to talk with you one-on-one about your unique situation. And then we do have a brand new micro credential that is really awesome. That's the Wellness Business Operations Specialist. That this is really more for folks that are wanting to open their own business. But I thought I'd share it because it's new and it's awesome. So let me know if you want more info on that, or you can go to our website. And then really, I'm just so grateful to all of you for being here today and for your open-mindedness and listening and all of your comments. I loved like hearing from all of you, and I'm here for you. So if you need any coaching support, if you need to talk through anything, if you need help with your resume, please reach out. I want to help you have the best advantage that you can. And I know for me, my passion is that, you know, students and alumni find jobs that are really fulfilling for them. So stay in touch with me, and thank you so much. I hope you all have, oh, and Jennifer, how does a micro-credential differ from the business courses? It's much different. It's not the same type of assignments. It's self driven, like there's modules and there's no time limit. So it's just set up a lot different than a class, and we can talk offline about that. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy spring, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye.